Thank you very much, Adam. I never realised my hidden motivation was actually not so hidden to play football. So Damien from the Studio House project is going to, it looks as if I'm putting someone on that doesn't know, but he's going to come up and speak a little bit about his project today. Thank you to the guys at Active Choices. If it wasn't for, if I wasn't at Jericho, I'd be jumping right onto that stuff and getting involved in sport and football and stuff like that. So these guys provide us with amazing opportunities. Thank you, Damo.
Hi. It's proper nerve-wracking, isn't it, when you stand there, isn't it? Guilty. I suppose I wanted to talk a little bit first about my journey. I don't know if there's anybody in here that's ever took drugs. Is it people that's took drugs? So I'm not going to go too much into that stuff, yeah? Like a lot of you, I felt depleted. My life was... Can I swear? I'm allowed to swear. Nathaniel, can I swear? Yeah, I can. It was shit. Like some people, I've got no doubt, I tried to end my life because I didn't see a way out. My experiences of drug services, and I'm going back quite a few years, and I'm sure it's changed now, but it was just about getting on scripts. That's all it was for me. Here's a script. Which all that really did was enable me to continue, keep doing what I was doing. My family didn't want nothing to do with me. Quite a lot of doors got closed throughout my life. And lo and behold, it ended in, like some of us, I've got no doubt, going jail. No, leave that there, I like that there. I felt really important then with that bit. So I ended up in jail quite a few times. And I found it was always the same thing for me. It was always letters of, I'm going to change, it's not going to be the same this time. And every time I got out, it was just the same thing, every time. Now, my last sentence was a big sentence. And I didn't use, I was a heroin addict, a baghead, smackhead, whatever you want to call it. And I didn't use when I was in jail, heroin that is. I smoked weed and I drank. Because you can get all that stuff pretty easy in jail, believe it or not. And I got out of jail and I was living with my mum. So I got a roof over my head, there was food, warmth. And it was the worst experience that I'd ever had in my addiction. And I've been homeless, I've been out of bins. I just felt so depleted. I'd resigned to this fact, because I used the first day I got out. That's the reality. And I resigned to this fact that this is me forever. I'm going to die a junkie. There's no ifs or buts, that's it. This is me. Jail sentences are going to get even bigger and I'm going to die. Which, to be fair, I kind of welcomed quite a lot of the days. Now, my mum was seeing a family support group. They're no longer running now, but they were called Spoda. And I can remember coming home from scoring, and this woman, she's chatting to my mum and stuff, as they always do, so it was just all right. Because this woman impacted my using, because she taught my mum the word no, which wasn't very good for me. And they got this leaflet for this rehab, Jericho, which is why we're here today. And I looked at this leaflet and it had got a J on it in the shape of a cross, and I was like, fuck that. Sorry, twice. I kept saying to myself over there, you know what, I'm gonna do my best not to swear. But I can't help it sometimes. And my mum was going on me, phone this place up. And I was like, fine. So I rung them up, and I got an assessment, and I told my mum when the assessment date was. I had no intention of going to it. It just got her off my back. Unbeknown to me, my mum had phoned prior to say that my son's going to be phoning, and then she phoned after. So I don't know about anybody else, but I had a pretty cool skill set when I was in addiction. So I'd do the job centre thing where you'd sit on the phone for about half an hour, make it out you're waiting to get through for the crisis loan and all that stuff. So mum checked because she didn't believe me. Now, my mum sorted out me getting to the assessment and everything, and someone else said it about the hugs. I don't know what you said about the hugs and that. But he's no longer working there, but this guy opened the door, and he went, "We do hugs," and give me a hug. And I thought, what the fuck is this? Now, the guy that took me they thought my mate was there for the assessment, because I didn't look too bad. I'd been in jail. Do you know what I mean? I looked kind of healthy. My mate looked fucked. My mate was like, not me, him. I'm like, yeah, it's me. I'm the junkie. Now, like I said, I've been to drug services, and I've never ever been able to get honest, ever. Now, for some unknown reason, I went to the old office, because you've got a new office now, haven't you? Yeah. The old office, and it was the first time that I'd ever felt able to be honest. So when this guy that I'd never met told me that he was a junkie like me, which I believed because he looked like one, I just found myself being so honest with this guy. And I come out and I was like, well, that's it. I've done what I said I'd do. I've turned up for this assessment, and I went home. I got told about fellowship stuff, and the closest meetings were Sheffield, and I was like, there's no way I'm going to Sheffield. If you'd have told me they were banging gear in Sheffield, I'd have been straight to Sheffield. And they said, you got to phone up and you'll be on the list. And I was like, yeah, I've got other things to do, man. My life's proper busy. So I never did. And then it must have been about 2 or 3 weeks later, and I get this phone call off this Scottish guy that I've never met, asking me when I get paid. Yeah, I was like, what do you mean, when do I get paid? Oh, we've got a bed. It says here that you're on methadone and stuff like that. You're prepared to do a rip. And I was like, yeah, I've done loads of rattles, no drama to me. And they offered me a bed, and I flapped it. I had all this anxiety, this fear gripping over me, because I was thinking it's a religious place. When I went there was like these thingies that said, God, good, orderly direction. And I was like, I'm not that guy. I'm a roadman. I'm street and all that. And I can remember going in, and it was the best decision that I'd ever made. So I'd tried numerous ways to get clean, and I couldn't get clean. I couldn't stay clean. I'd had little brief periods, but I'd never had long-term abstinence, ever. And I went in this place, and I got, I'm going to say tooed up. I know that's jail term, but I was tooed up with a guy called Shug, another Scottish guy. Because I got told you couldn't smoke. I don't mind doing it now because you can't gram me now. But they said you can't smoke in the house. And I was in this bedroom, and Shug was like, yeah, just smoke and flick it out the window. And I was like, sweet. Because they smoked back in the office back then, so you couldn't smell it anyway. Yeah, gram me now. So yeah, and I went in this place, and they tried to get me to open up about feelings, and do you know what I mean? And for me, it was like, how is talking about my feelings going to help me? Do you know what I mean? Who I feel good, who I feel bad? And I'm listening to other people, and I'm thinking, I want to use with none of you. I can remember Kev. I think it was my first morning there. I've come downstairs to go for a fag. I'm not a morning person. I'm one of them people that you give like a little bit of a wide berth to. He's had coffee and stuff, and Kev's there doing this namaste yoga stuff. Straight away I thought, he's a weird one, isn't he? And he didn't have that haircut then either. He had this mad curly fro, didn't you, Kev? And he's come up to me, give me this hug, like I said, because that's what it's all about. And I was straight on the back foot, and I was like, you fucking doing, mate? He was like, oh, do hugs. And I was like, no, mate, no. We'll leave that. And like I said, I got introduced to the fellowship, and I got told I'd got to get on the minibus that night to go to a meeting. And I was like, it's cool, man, I'll wait here. Do you know what I mean? You lot go meeting, and I'll wait here. And they were like, no, you got to get on the bus. And I was like, no, you sound. I won't go anywhere. I'll stay here. So as you can gather, I got on the bus. And like Nathaniel said, I had loads of stuff pointed out. I went in there when I was 32. I turned 33 within my first month. And I've lost track how many times I got grounded. And I used to go right within myself, fucking grounded, I'm a 33-year-old man. Jesus Christ. Because I never fully understood. Do you know what I mean? I always did what I wanted to do. And I never worried about consequences. And the rehab taught me about consequences, and it taught me about life, and it gave me this sense of belonging. These people that had never met me saw something in me. They had faith in me. And I'd never really experienced stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? There was never, I'm sure there were people cheering in my corner at some point, but I'd not experienced it for time. And these were, do you know what I mean? They'd got my back, like you said, they got my back through everything. And I never understood why I got grounded and why I got challenged on stuff and why going to the gym was not okay and spending 4 hours in a jacuzzi with people was not okay. And I understand it now. Do you know what I mean? I can remember when you leave Jericho, not only do you get covered in egg and flour, but you get to do a little, you share your experience. And I can remember sharing mine and getting feedback off Neil. And Neil said to me that they didn't think I'd get it because of how I behaved, my attitude and everything. Because I thought everything. Do you know what I mean? For me, it was like, you can't tell me. You haven't done the things I've done. You've not lived how I've lived. So it's with quite a lot of pride and honour that I'm stood here today, that I got invited to this, that I'm part of this. Do you know what I mean? Because without all that stuff, without being challenged, and I was shown love in different ways. I can remember Brian teaching me about love. Do you know what I mean? A lot of people seem to think it's all about hugs and stuff like that, and it's not. Sometimes love gets shown to you when you're being fucking shouted at, which in my case was quite often. So I ended up becoming a volunteer for quite a few years at Jericho, and I loved it there. And I started volunteering at a rehab in Nottingham. And for me, it was, I kind of knew it was time to let go at Jericho. Oh, let me share this first. So my first year in recovery, ended up going through some stuff with my legs. So some people know, some people don't. So I nearly ended up losing my legs. So this is part of my drug use and stuff. And I can remember phoning Neil, because me and Neil built a really good relationship up, and I could phone Neil up. And I'd just been to one of my appointments, and they'd said to me that if your right leg carries on, we're going to take it from the knee. And if your left leg carries on, we're going to have to take that as well. So my head fell off. And I rung Neil, and I said, I'm just letting you know I'm going. And he was like, going where? And I says, I'm done. I said, I'm going back using, mate. I says, I ain't coming to recovery for this shit. And he fucking shouted at me. He proper had a go at me, calling me selfish and all this stuff. And I started crying because I didn't know what to do. And Neil and Jericho and that, they put in this like care plan for me where they'd pick me up every morning, they'd take me to the house, and I'd just sit in the house because I couldn't walk. I was just sat in the house. They took me to meetings and all this stuff. And it's where I really started to get to grips with this word unity. I'd never really been part of anything, and I'd become part of something where people carried me when I couldn't walk, literally. And I'm grateful for so much what Jericho's done for me, but especially through that time, because I was so close to just disappearing. And they showed me a way, and for about a year, I mean, God knows how many meetings I did, but at every meeting I was saying the same thing. I'm sat in a fucking meeting, I'm in pain, I don't want to be here, but I am here. And people kept saying to me how brave I was and all that, and I was like, I'm not brave. Do you know what I mean? I can't leave, I can't walk. I'm not brave. But it stood me in good stead for the rest of my recovery. So I went to work for this other rehab because I started to understand it. Like I said, Jericho introduced me to the 12 steps, and I started to understand that recovery comes in many different forms. Now, I'm very inquisitive in my mindset. I always want to know how stuff works, and does this work, and does that work? Do you know what I mean? I've never been rigid. I always remember Bruce Lee's quote, be like the willow. Do you know what I mean? Be flexible. And that's what I've always done. I've always wanted to learn more about recovery. So it's what attracted me to the place that I used to work at, because it was a very holistic approach to recovery. Now, in March 2022, the directors of the rehab decided they were going to close, that they couldn't do it, they couldn't work financially. So they were shutting at the end of that year, and I kind of lost my temper a little bit because I love recovery. Do you know what I mean? What it's given me is amazing, and if a div like me can grab this concept of recovery, anybody can. So I went to bed that night, and I woke up in the morning. Now, for those that know me, my head's very erratic. It's constantly firing all the time. It's very thinky. When I woke up that morning, it was the most quietest I've ever been. And this voice said to me, you do it. That's what I heard, you do it. So I thought, you know what? Fuck it. You didn't hear that one because I covered it. You do it, you set up a rehab. So I thought, right, okay, what do I do? Because I've never run a rehab. Do you know what I mean? So what I did was I phoned Neil, and I said to Neil, this is what I'm thinking of doing. And like I said, Neil's one of them that will empower people constantly. And that's what he did. He was like, well, go figure it out. Figure out what you need to do. You already know the buildings. You've got this. So I approached the charity called Gateway Trust. And I met with their trustees, and I explained to them what I wanted to do. Because for me, I knew that if it was a charity, it would work. Do you know what I mean? Because that's what I saw with Jericho. It's a charity, it works. So I approached these trustees and I explained to them what I wanted to do. I want to set up a rehab. I want to help people. I want to help as many people as I can for as long as I've got left. Which sounds a bit morbid, but you never freaking know, do you? And I've got a fast car now. So these trustees went away and they had a little meeting, and then they got back to me and they said, we want to give you the charity to do what you want to do. So I was buzzing. So then it was building time. So I needed to secure the buildings. So I met up with a couple of the landlords that I know, and they were like, oh, that sounds really good. What we need off you is a business plan, a financial plan, and 3 years financial forecasting. And I was like, sound, not an issue. And I went home and I cried for about 3 days. Because I thought, I don't even know what any of that is. I haven't got a clue. So I had to learn pretty quick. And like I said, I'm very motivated. Do you know what I mean? And a lot of that was given to me from Jericho. Do you know what I mean? If you want to achieve anything, you've got to graft, you've got to work hard, you've got to sacrifice. And then that's what I did. And in January the 1st, 2003, Studio House Project, we finally opened. And it was daunting because there was no money. And I had a little bit of money. So I pulled in, like we all do, quite a few favours off people. Remember when I did this for you? Remember when I did that? So I pulled in all them, so now nobody owes me anything anymore, which is not good. So we're still a baby at this. But if it wasn't for Neil, so Neil was the deciding factor for me in this. So once I got all this stuff in place, I started to get a little bit of fear creeping. Do you know what I mean? Because there were a lot of people around me saying, what if it don't work? What if it don't work? And despite me going, yeah, but what if it does? You know, if I can get this off the ground, that means I get to help people. That means we get to help more people. Do you know what I mean? Which then means less people have to die of this. And I rung Neil and I said, what do you think? And I ran it all through Neil. And I said, if you tell me you don't think I can do it, I won't do it. If you think I can, I will. And he said, yeah. He says, I know you can do it. And that was it. And that's what you get from Jericho. That's why Jericho's been successful. Do you know what I mean? Because what they do is they guide people. They've never told me what to do. They've grounded me when I hadn't done what they tell me to do. But through that love and support, and it still goes on today. I mean, me and Neil, we're co-founders of Alveston Vets, and we've just celebrated 13 years of running a football club, which if anyone's ever run a football club, it's worse than a rehab. Proper worse than a rehab. But yeah, I'm so grateful. Do you know what I mean? I know Big B's not here. Well, he is here. He lives in all of us, doesn't he? But yeah, for him, long may this continue. And I think we should give a big round of applause to Neil, because, I mean, I know how much it impacted me when Brian passed. Do you know what I mean? And I know it impacted Neil massively. So for Neil to step up, to continue this legacy, which is Jericho House, I think it's amazing. So I'd like to end on a big round of applause for Neil. Well done, Neil.
Thank you very much, Damo, for putting it back on me. Yeah. No, mate, it's beautiful to see you guys go from strength to strength. You know, when I thought of a wee quote when you were talking, innit? Hurt people, healed people, heal people. And that's sort of my philosophy. People gave me this sort of stuff that I could never. I don't think I owe Jericho anything. I don't logically feel like I owe them anything. Them, us, them, we, whatever. But I've just became passionate, and I feel that same passion, rippling through and everybody that speaks, man. And it's just sort of beautiful to see you guys, picking that sort of stuff up and running. So.